Hold up a second. You're probably wondering what's going on here. You're thinking, Geek, this isn't your usual video, and you're right. So, let me back up a little bit and explain. My YouTube friends have once again undertaken a challenge, this time to make videos about our favorite big plot twist, be it in a movie, a TV show, or even a video game. Before I get to my choice, let me talk briefly about twists, just in general. Sticking to movies, since this channel is mostly a movie channel.
It's called a changeover. The movie goes on, and nobody in the audience has any idea.
It's easy to fall in love with a story just because it has a great twist. Indeed, there are plenty of examples of movies made famous for their twists. But for the twist to really resonate, there are two important criteria it must meet. One, it must make sense within the narrative. There are plenty of movies out there where this isn't the case, where a film is made worse by a sloppily executed plot twist that doesn't stick to established internal logic. A good way to test this is to watch the movie over again and see if the twist still holds up. The second criteria is that the rest of the story should still be good, because if it isn't, the twist will be wasted. Note that there is no requirement that you never see the twist coming. People get hung up on this, but in my not-so-humble opinion, it doesn't really matter how much wool is put over the audience's eyes. Sure, there is a certain joy to be found in getting suckered by misdirection, but like a jump scare in a cheap horror flick, that joy, by itself, is very short-lived and usually says more about you than it does the movie. It also makes you sound full of yourself when you say you called it 5 minutes into The Sixth Sense that Bruce Willis's character was a ghost. Yeah, I said it, Mom. I saw it coming too, but you didn't see me ruin it for my brother, did you? That said, I distinctly remember not seeing the twist coming in the movie I want to talk about today. Dark City.
Wait. Is that me?
After a studio-mandated voiceover by an asthmatic Kiefer Sutherland to set the stage,
I have betrayed my own kind.
Which may or may not ruin things for you depending on your sensitivity, our hero, John Murdoch, wakes up at midnight in a cheap apartment bathtub. John has amnesia, which as a plot device is a terrible way to start things off, and it's not helped by the visual birth metaphors and the foggy mirror cliché. Have I mentioned that this is one of my favorite movies? Anyway, trust me, it gets better. Or at least it gets a lot weirder. John rescues his goldfish to prove he's not a monster, then looks through his belongings to find a postcard for a place called Shell Beach, which sparks a very vague memory from his childhood. He then discovers he's in the middle of an active murder scene and decides it would be best to vacate the premises. Get away! What follows is a surreal film noir-style mystery involving his lounge-singing wife, a lonely detective who plays the accordion, a lunatic who draws spirals, a lame doctor who just wants John to stick a syringe in his forehead, and a bunch of oddities about the city, like the fact that it's never daytime.
When was the last time you remember doing something during the day?
Nobody can seem to remember how to get to Shell Beach, not even the taxi drivers. Background characters seem to get recast on the fly. And every 12 hours, everybody slips into a deep sleep at the same time before waking up again and pretending nothing weird just happened. Oh, and there's also a group of walking corpses called the Strangers who reside underground and have telekinetic jellyfish living in their skulls who are constantly refining the city, toying with people's memory, and trying to murder John. One of them even injects himself with John's memories in order to catch him. That is, when he's not trying to convince people to do the time warp. Like any good mystery yarn, the story unfolds in layers. But even with the amnesia gimmick in the mix, the narrative is never obvious in hiding things from you, nor does anyone in a position to know what's going on actually lie. It knows the mystery is complex and bizarre, so it doesn't do anything to make things unfair to the audience. Anyway, After having most of the puzzle pieces put in front of him, John eventually decides that his best chance at figuring out what the heck is happening is to find Shell Beach. That's where the twist happens. I call it a twist, but it's really the last puzzle piece being put into place, and it's a doozy. What makes it so effective is that, even though a lot of the puzzle has been explained in exposition, this is where we finally get to pull back and see the Dark City for what it really is, an island floating in space. It's probably the last thing the poor police detective sees. This reveals just how dire the situation is, removes all hope that these characters will ever make it back to Earth, and puts the whole story into a visual relief that finally makes everything clear. Thematically, Shell Beach is a representation of the human soul, of our aspirations, our dreams, and that ethereal place we call home. The strangers use it as a layer of control, to make sure that the captives believe that there's something out there to strive for, but they dismiss it as ultimately unimportant in their goal to understand humanity, which is why they never bothered to create it. There's also the small matter of them hating water, the way Macaulay Culkin and Nicolas Cage hate bees.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Ah!
So let's go back to my criteria for a good twist. Does it make sense within the internal logic of the narrative? Absolutely. I've seen the film dozens of times, and I have yet to find a problem with the Shell Beach twist. Is the rest of the story actually good? I definitely think so. As I said, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, is Dark City a perfect movie? Of course not. The editing is frenetic, the story relies on at least one inexplicable coincidence.
Beacon Q!
The acting is at times off-putting, and some of the computer graphics are laughably bad. No doubt a result of the movie's reach, far exceeding its grasp. Still, it is a wildly entertaining spin on film genre that has a unique visual style somewhere between Fritz Lang's Metropolis and The Matrix. The latter of which it predates. I could talk about Dark City for hours, but let's save that for when I inevitably do a full review of it, which according to my self-imposed 30-year rule, won't come out until 2028.
Hey, you happen to know the way to Shell Beach?
Anyway, thank you guys for watching, sincerely, and thank you especially to my patrons. Consider joining my Patreon. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. This is the Unapologetic Geek, telling you to never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Shut it down! Shut it down forever!